Hey everybody, it's Matt Johnson. We're back. This is another episode of the Team Building Podcast. We're going to go super deep on ISAs, and we've got a couple of great special guests to help us do that. But let me bring in first Jeff Cohn, who is fresh off his victory in local Dancing with the Stars, which we were talking about before we started recording. So I have to tease him about that. Jeff, what's up today?
Awesome. Hey Matt, appreciate you being here. And honestly, I am super pumped. We got Josh Cunningham and Sam Monreal, two of the best in the virtual assistant arena and internal sales agent arena, to hang out with us today and have some fun and get really deep in lead generation, lead conversion, and the entire topic surrounding internal and external sales agents.
That's right. All right, and just a quick word. So they are both with the company Rokrbox, and they'll share a little bit about how to contact them if you're not already familiar. A lot of the people that we're speaking to probably already know who they are, or at least have heard of them. And so this will give you a chance to get to know them and what they do. And we're going to get super nerdy on metrics and what's working in ISAs, so that you actually know kind of how to move forward with your specific team. And then if you want to learn more about how to build a dominant team, check out the workshops on our website, eliterealestatesystems.com/workshops. So enough of that. Let's get into it. So Josh and Sam, what's up today, guys?
Hey man, thanks for having us on board here.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having us, guys. Super excited to chat with y'all as always.
Yes, and Josh, you can see in your lovely background the modern equivalent of a sweatshop. I'm assuming this is a
exactly. This is a Rokrbox is what we like to call it, not a sweatshop.
Right. All right. So explain the name real quick, Josh.
I'm sorry, the name. So Rokrbox is an old gold mining tool used to prospect for gold. So essentially, that's exactly what we do for internet leads. Is we take that giant pile of dirt and sand and gravel, and we work it very effectively to find those little bitty flakes of gold, which make it all worthwhile.
That's right, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So Sam, you were mentioning that you can go kind of a little bit deep into kind of what's working and the difference between inbound and outbound. So let's start there. And what have you guys found is working?
Okay, well, so, one of the things that I think we want to just make sure and clarify, Matt, is, we're focused on inbound lead response. So there's really two sides to this whole, ISA call center operation that you can have as it relates to a real estate team. One being, you have hardcore outbound prospectors that are looking for sellers that are calling expireds and FSBOs and that kind of thing. Where with us, what we focus on is converting online real estate leads at a really high level, particularly within the Boomtown platform. So we do have a call center here in Texas, as you mentioned. You see it right there behind Josh. And, we really have worked over the past 3 years to sort of perfect the art of converting online real estate leads at a really high level and making sure that we're doing the things that need to be done in order to successfully convert them. Because, Jeff, wouldn't you agree, the nature of online real estate leads has become really diluted with the number of players out there, and so it takes a lot more legwork to convert those leads and a lot more calls and texts and emails and that kind of thing than it used to.
Yep, no, I totally agree. A lot of people used to talk about lead generation. 10 years ago when I first got licensed, everyone wanted to talk about how to be on the forefront and pioneer the ability to generate leads both via search engine optimization and pay-per-click. I feel like everyone's kind of figured that out. What I still do not believe the majority of agents and team leaders have figured out is the ability to actually convert those leads. And I know they haven't, because when I ask people what their conversion rates are, 99% of agents have no idea. And they have no idea because they're not tracking. And they're not tracking because they're too busy running their servicing business of working directly with clients and not running their business of overseeing the agents and making sure they're doing what they need to do. And Sam, that's what you and Josh do so well at Rokrbox, is pay attention to those agents' Boomtown dashboard/CRM to make sure that the agents are following up with those lead opportunities and helping them convert at a higher level.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge part of our secret sauce, and something that we've only added within the past year is our ramp-up coaching program, where we basically have a individual coach, an awesome expert at what she does. Her name is Donna Parrish, who actually works with our clients and goes into their Boomtown platforms, talks to their agents in a Google Hangout, just like the type of hangout that we're on, where she's able to share things on the screen and actually show the agents exactly what they need to do once the lead leaves our hands. Because that's one of the things that we say all the time over here at Rokrbox is, it's sort of a third. Boomtown does the first third of the funnel. It attracts and captures the traffic. Rokrbox does the middle third and nurtures and identifies opportunities from that traffic. But then it still requires the agent. It still requires the agent to when we hand the ball to them on the 20-yard line for them to grab it and carry it into the end zone. And that whole end-to-end solution is something that we've really been focused on getting as tight as we possibly can with our clients, because we know that it really takes all three of us to be operating at a high level in order to be successful.
Sure. What are you guys finding, Josh and Sam, to help you convert at a higher level? What are the touch points that you're finding help your agents to be the most successful?
So the most effective strategy for us in identifying opportunities is our instant response strategy. And so, that's sort of one of the secrets of the program here is that we're open nearly 80 hours a week. So as soon as a lead registers on the website, we're immediately notified and reach out to determine what their needs and motivation are. And if they're an opportunity for a realtor to meet with, then we'll actually transfer that over to the realtor. So obviously, if that's the most effective strategy for us, that's also the most effective strategy for the agent that we transfer it to. And so we just utilize the text notifications from within Boomtown to make sure that the agent then literally gets a text message as soon as we hang up the phone, and they can click on the lead and then just respond almost as if it was a immediate hand.
So what's the expectation as to how long that agent needs to make a follow-up call once it's been initially contacted?
So the best explanation is as soon as possible.
What's actually happening?
So, exactly. So for some teams that we work with that are absolutely crushing it, they're getting to that lead within a day, less than 24 hours. But obviously other people that we see struggle it's taking longer than a day. And here's the situation is just because we've identified an opportunity on the agent's behalf, there's still not a contract signed. There's still no obligation.
Right.
We've just identified that this is a person who's going to make a decision soon. And if you can imagine how many thousands of other realtors there are out there in the MLS, they're not just going to sit around and wait a week for your one phone call. They're gonna go find someone to help them out. So it's all about just being like white on rice on a paper plate in a snowstorm, as Sam always says.
Legally, you guys, and I know a lot of people have this question with internal sales agents and virtual assistants, for them to make that initial call, do they need to be licensed agents?
No, all of our callers are unlicensed agents, and we never cross the boundaries of actually sharing or advising or discussing property details. So we don't even talk about the price. We don't talk about the inventory. Even the information that's actually on the Boomtown website, we just don't even touch that information at all. Again, what we're trying to focus on is not about the property or the real estate or the market. It's all about the buyer. It's all about the person on the other end of the phone. What are their needs? What are their motivations? So that's what we pull out of them.
Yeah, and as an owner, I'm an owner of 1,000 Calls a Day, which is virtual assistants located in the Philippines, and this is the same thing we tell people when they check out our product, is that we're not licensed agents. We're essentially glorified assistants setting up appointments for agents, and I think you guys probably do the similar. Another thing that I'm curious of asking you guys about is after the initial call, let's say that the person does agree for the agent to reach back out to them, are you setting up any automatic text messages, emails, listing alerts for houses that meet that person's original criteria, anything like that?
So the most important email for someone to receive through Boomtown is properties, right? If you actually look at the call to action when someone registers on a Boomtown site, it asks them if they want pictures of properties. So that's the most important relevant information to send to them. So yes, over the phone we are customizing their search criteria. Based upon some basic criteria. But once we hand it over to the agent, we definitely want the agent to then dig in there and use some of their local market expertise to actually custom tailor it a little bit better, because they're obviously going to have a lot more market knowledge than we will.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jeff, just to kind of answer your question more directly, though, with our setup, we do have sort of text message templates that we use whenever we're going through the process of initially trying to qualify the lead. So we'll call them within 5 minutes of registration, and then over the next 21 days, we call them 10 more times, send them 4 text messages, and send them 4 emails. Most those emails can be drips that the client has already preset within the system or the system-generated e-alerts.
Yeah.
But that's all about trying to generate that initial interaction.
Right.
Once we've had a voice-to-voice conversation with somebody, or even a text-to-text conversation with someone, the drips kind of don't work anymore, right? Because those things are designed to elicit that first response. Once they go from there, it kind of comes out of the realm and where everything needs to be customized and individualized. So all of our interactions, all the calls we make, all the texts we send, all of their interactions with the client, they're all logged within the platform. So when the agent takes ownership of that lead, they've got a lot of information about what we've uncovered on behalf of that prospect, ideally designed to give them the most ammo, for lack of a better word, to have the very best conversation they can and really come into the situation being the local market expert, being the one that is going to really make their real estate dreams a reality.
Yeah. What I think is so awesome about Rokrbox is the way I'm running it in Omaha is essentially our agents are the Rokrbox. If you go out the door and look at my office, my agents are expected to do, Sam, exactly what you're expecting your employees to do, which is those first 10 contacts in 14 days. We do 2 voicemails, 2 text messages, and we start everyone on a drip. But the agent's doing it. What's awesome about Rokrbox is you're saving that agent all that time and energy so that they can focus on what's most important, which is either servicing the client or prospecting within their sphere. And I think that's really awesome that Rokrbox can step in and do that. One question I do have is, out of all the clients you serve, would you say there's a certain percentage out there that are helping with those calls? In addition to you guys making the calls, are they also making those 10 calls?
No, I would say that, even our clients that are the most eager and most wanting to jump in there, what we often find is that once they realize how comprehensive we're being and how upfront all of our efforts are, they wait until we've filtered through a lot of the noise. Because that's part of the reality. Jeff, you even talked about this in your 12-hour workshop, which, shameless plug here, audience. That 12-hour workshop is freaking awesome. You guys should definitely go check it out. But your agents are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and you guys are still converting at a 3 to 5% rate. So that means that 95% of those online leads out there that are coming from sources like AdWords are never going to get across the finish line. So, a huge chunk of what we really do, if you kind of look at it from a different angle, is as much about opportunity identification as it is about getting rid of the noise, getting rid of the folks that will never answer no matter how proactive you are, the folks with bad contact information. You run the traps on all these different on all these different leads to really cull it down to a very, very tightly grouped number of opportunities. As a matter of fact, we generally say that of your global online lead flow, we're going to identify about 10% of those as opportunities. So what it does for folks unlike yourself that have a lot of agents and have a lot of agent muscle that you can rely on, where maybe they have a smaller team of agents or they themselves are still selling, we're doing a lot of that upfront hardcore prospecting work, that conversion work, and allowing them to spend their time when they do actually sit down to prospect and lead convert focused on actual opportunities as opposed to just the giant pool of leads over here that are Mickey Mouse leads with a 555 phone number, all the way to a lead over here that's like $1 million buyer, and they can't tell the difference.
Right.
Well, at least now they have some context.
Well, I think the best analogy is what Josh, you had said earlier about panning for gold and why you're called Rokrbox, and I actually didn't even know that. That's freaking awesome. It's not a sexy business to tell someone I convert 3%. When that becomes sexy is when I tell them how many leads we generate. In my market in Omaha, I generate 1,500 internet leads a month. Well, you do the math real quick on how many. If we're converting 3%, that's 30 transactions. If we're averaging $5,000 a deal and I'm keeping half of that, it starts getting pretty sexy. So the question is, how do we convert 3% or even 1%? Industry standard, I find, is about half of 1%. And obviously, we know communication is the name of the game and building rapport. Another interesting study I've done on my team here in Omaha, and I'd like to know if you guys have heard any other teams' numbers on this, is that our average internet lead doesn't go under contract for 150 to 180 days from the date that they register on our website. So that tells us to win a lead, it's not only winning the battle of talking to them in the first day, but staying in contact with them every couple of weeks via phone, text, email, Facebook over the course of 5 months, so that when they do decide, hey, I want to go out and buy or I'm ready to list my house, they're calling my agent.
Yeah, that would be directly in line with sort of what we expect because, again, our 2 most effective strategies are instant response and 21 days of gain, and that's for us to identify an opportunity. And again, an opportunity isn't a closed contract. It's just an opportunity for an agent to be involved in the most high-income producing activity, which is working with motivated buyers. Mm-hmm. So then if we hand it off, within that first month, and we expect that they're in a 90-day window, that would put them right at about 120. So that's perfectly in line with exactly what we see, that we identify the most opportunities in the first 30 days, then it takes about 90 days to agree on a home, and then obviously there's a whole closing process involved as well.
Yeah. Do you guys get any of the kind of like the backwards feedback in the sense of, hey, we've turned over all these opportunities to you, now you, team leader, track when we're, which are closing, and then give us the feedback back on what types of leads we gave you and which are the most effective at closing. That way we can tell the difference. Are you getting that type of feedback back from the other end when deals are actually closing?
I would say that that loop is not totally closed. We are getting some feedback, and definitely several of our clients are good about making sure they mark their deals as closed. But I think that with Boomtown being our primary technology layer that we stay on top of, it's really not designed for contract to close. I think, Jeff, you'd agree on that. Most of our clients are actually managing their contract to close process in a different technology. So I would say that there is a little bit of a disconnect there. But our clients, because they have Rokrbox as a service provider, are much more invested in making sure that we're delivering a return on investment for them. So we definitely have done hangouts and have worked with several clients who have been with us for a long time, who can point to a lot of success that they've had in actually getting deals across the finish line.
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge I see team leaders experiencing and individual agents across the country is not necessarily even that initial conversation, because I think they're having some initial conversations. It's having that initial conversation and keep continuing that relationship. But the true dysfunction is I don't think a lot of team leaders are following up with their agents once they've had the initial conversation to make sure that they're continuing to have dialogue with those leads. And what's neat about the CRM within Boomtown, and I know there's a lot of CRM tools out there that do this, is I can actually have my success manager, Andy Cuney, sit down on a weekly basis with each of my agents, and he can see if they're continuing the dialogue. And I know that's something that you guys over at Rokrbox do to help your clients to be more successful. Would you guys agree with me that the probably biggest fail that agents experience out there are the agents that simply aren't following up once that initial contact has been made?
100%.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. So why is that? Why do you guys think that? I mean, they're spending all the money on Rokrbox or all these other systems out there. They're spending money to generate the lead. They know if they service that lead the right way, they're going to make a commission. Why aren't they doing it?
I think it's a couple of things. I think it's agents who their team owner really isn't willing to hold the true accountability and inspect what they expect. Andy Cuney on your team, this is one of the things that we learned at the 12-hour workshop, is sitting down with every single one of your agents and reviewing, a whole slew of core key metrics around how they're managing their pipeline, how they're interacting with additional trainings and script practicing and role playing and those kind of things. Like all of those things that we know as real estate professionals make agents successful. But it's about inspecting that they happen on a regular basis. It's like wanting to lose weight but never wanting to go to the gym, right? If you go to the gym 3 times a week, you're going to get in shape. Well, it's the same thing with agents. Agents really do need that coach, and whether it's somebody external like Rokrbox with our ramp-up program or somebody internal like their team leader or their manager, there needs to be somebody that's really sitting down with them on a weekly basis and looking at their pipeline. And we've even set out a set of expectations about exactly what we know that agents need to be doing in order to be successful, because we've been looking at it for the past 3 years and really been studying it and seeing what the most successful teams are doing. And we stole a lot from you, Jeff. And and so we know exactly what the team owners need to be talking to their agents about. It's a matter of them actually taking the time, sitting down, and having that reinforcing conversation and creating that standard and culture within their organization.
So I think a lot of it comes back to that exact point, and that culture, part of the culture we've created here is creating a realistic expectation. So every agent on my team, we tell them if they work the system the way we show them, 1/3 of their deals will come from the internet, 1/3 will come from their sphere, and 1/3 will come from their own personal prospecting efforts, giving them 36 deals, which in my market's going to be about a 6-figure income. The challenge is when someone joins a team and the team leader promises all these internet leads that are going to convert into all this money right away, and the agent works them for 3 months and says, these internet leads sucks. I hear Zillow sucks, Trulia sucks, everyone says it sucks, and I'll ask them all their data. Oh, they do? How many leads did you talk to? How many did you end up meeting with? How many listing presentations did you go on? How many did you end up converting and they didn't close? How many did you convert that did close? What was your average commission? And the answer to all those questions is, I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, they suck. You sucked at tracking them. And you're going to suck at everything you can't track. Yep. And so what I tell my agents when they join my team is expect 6 to 8 months before you make a dime off internet leads. But that if you work the leads, you will convert 3% of them. And they've bought in and they believe it because we've tracked it and they can see it. And the reason agents aren't willing to work those internet leads is because internet leads are a lot of work. Agents want the lowest lying fruit, and the lowest lying fruit is the referral from your grandma.
Yeah.
Right.
So the agents typically will lean towards that, and that's great. And a lot of agents will pompously say, well, I just work sphere of influence. And I'll say, that's great. You probably sell about 40 houses a year. My team sold 800 houses last year. So obviously, sphere has its place, and it's your best source. But what are you supposed to do when you want to leverage your team and build it bigger, and maybe even one day step out of the business so you don't have to keep meeting with clients nights and weekends? At that point, you have to create a leverageable lead generation system like internet leads, paid ads, using a company like Rokrbox to help you scrub those leads that you're already creating. And I think agents sometimes are just very short-sighted, and I think that's probably the biggest dysfunction.
Yeah, again, to kind of answer your question, Jeff, I always say there's 3 critical keys to success in the online lead generation game. The first is a system, so you have to have a duplicatable, predictable system for converting these registrations to an actual client. The second is the talent, so you have to have the right talent in place that actually thrives at following the system. And then the third is management. So you have to have the right management in place that prepares and inspects the talent's ability to actually execute that system. So for some people it's one of those, for some people it's all 3 of those, but that's why it doesn't work for certain people. It's one of those 3 components is broken. So I mean there are some teams that we work with that are great at following the system and they're great at managing the agents' expectations, but maybe they have some struggles with recruiting good talent on their team, and so their agents are just overwhelmed and they're just too busy for all the leads that keep coming down the pipeline. So it's a combination of one of those issues or maybe all 3 of them sometime.
Yep. Nope, I think you're right. So we've talked a little bit about lead conversion and the expectation of what your Rokrbox does to help service those leads to give agents opportunities. I know there's probably audience members wondering, where do these leads come from? I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but where would you guys say a majority of your clients' internet leads are coming from that you guys are calling on?
So, they come from your traditional sources. The majority of our clients' leads come from AdWords or some sort of paid advertising, paid lead gen, Facebook and AdWords. But several of our clients are getting back on Craigslist. Craigslist being another good place to generate leads. There's a couple of different companies out there that have virtual assistants that post ads on Craigslist to drive traffic back to your website. And then of course you've got the aggregators, Zillow, Realtor. I think that going back to the conversation about time to convert, I think Zillow and Realtor are the one exception to that time to convert rule, because if you look at it and if you think about somebody who's in where they are in the buying process, if somebody's just registering at your platform, all they're saying is, I want to search for more homes. If somebody is actually submitting a registration form on Zillow saying, hey, I want to see 123 Any Street, it's the online equivalent of sort of like a sign call. And so those are just people that are a bit further along in the buyer funnel. So we generally recommend to our clients that they do some sort of dollar cost averaging, where they have some of the really expensive but high quality lead sources like Zillow and Realtor.com, and then they have some of the lower quality but less expensive lead sources like Craigslist and Facebook, because the honest to goodness truth is, once Rokrbox filters them through, they're all the same quality and what the agents actually get on their plate. So
yep, I think Sam, you totally are nailing it, because we have actually tracked this for 4 years, and we have a return on investment tracker right now. I've shared it with you guys that shows how long are each of these different leads from each of these different sources in our database and what's the conversion ratio. I really don't think the amount of time matters. And if you're following like the Frank Klezet's viral marketing camp, if you have their name and contact information and stay in contact with them for 5 years, they'll eventually work with your team. So I love what you're saying about split testing lead sources. I personally put 70% of our budget. We have a $10,000 budget a month, and I put 70% to Google AdWords. The other 30% is all of the other ones. So we do like Craigslist, Facebook boosting, and we found like with Facebook, we're converting at a much lower ratio. However, we're building our database. We have 70,000 people in our database, and Omaha only has 300,000 people in the city limits. Yeah. So I think within like 5 years from now, we'll have everyone that lives in our market in our database. Build your own Google is my idea behind that.
Cool. Yeah, so it's awesome. Really important when looking at different lead sources, because you're right, Jeff, a lot of people jump on these bandwagons and go, oh, this one's terrible, or that one's great. I mean, there's not some almighty being at Boomtown that's actually creating the lead for you. These are real human beings going out on the internet, and what's important to look at is what was the call to action and what is the opt-in form, right? So was the call to action to look at pictures, or was the call to action, like Sam said, to look at 123 Any Street?
Right.
And then the other thing is, what is the submission form? Are you just getting an email address because sending us an email address here at Rokrbox is absolutely pointless. We need a phone number to get on the phone and convert. Phone calls is what converts, not emails.
Yep, great point.
Yeah, that's a pretty typical question on if you guys keep an eye out on Facebook forums. It's I only have an email for this internet lead. What can I say to them to get them to respond?
Send them a prayer.
If there was an answer for that question, we would all be billionaires.
How do I call their email address? That's what we need to figure out. How do I call their email address?
All right, so a couple final questions before we wrap things up. So, I mean, you guys talk to some of the top teams. I mean, obviously we're kind of all running in the same circles, but when somebody comes to you and they're like interested in Rokrbox, I guarantee you there's a disconnect between what they're concerned about versus what they should be concerned about. And that's what I'm curious about is when somebody comes to you and they're leading a team and they're interested in using an ISA team and they're kind of debating on, like, do I hire someone? Do I hire someone internally and all this stuff? What are some of their concerns that probably aren't a big deal that they should stop concerning themselves with, and what should they be concerned with?
Killer question. So I think there's a couple of different paths we can take on that one. So let me just focus on one thing that we hear a lot from teams that they think is their problem that is not their actual problem. So a lot of teams want to come to us and say, oh, I've got all these old leads. I've got all these old leads that I've been collecting that my agents haven't been working for, however long. Turn them into diamonds. Well, what we have just proven over and over and over and over without a doubt is it's about handling the leads the right way once they come into the system. Once somebody is in your system, and like Jeff said, absolutely market to them, put them in your database as far as like sending value add content to them. But as it relates to actually converting them into a home buyer with a brand new online lead, the best thing to do is to handle them right and the right way as soon as they register. And then, Josh, I mean, what other things do you think people?
Yeah, I mean, like Sam said, a lot of people get excited about the rotting fruit on the vine, but again, what a Rokrbox does is separates the sand and gravel from the gold. We don't actually turn sand and gravel into gold.
I love it.
If that makes sense. So yeah, we do obviously have a lot of people that come on board and they're very excited about their huge database. It's not the best use of our time to go through and sort through all these old leads. The best use of our time and the most effective way to convert online leads is just, like Sam said, handling them the right way the first time around. The other thing is too, Boomtown as the software platform is incredible, and they obviously keep creating enhancements and sort of shortcuts, as I like to say, like the opportunity wall. Strategies like that are much more effective when you have an agent's pipeline trying to keep an eye on their A and B buyers. It's not as effective when you literally have a giant database of a bunch of Scooby-Doos and Mickey Mouses and 555 numbers. So that's another sort of misconception, is that people think, ooh, all these people are going to pop up on the opportunity wall and you're going to convert them. But again, we like to be in the most high-income producing activity, and we like to work the leads the right way from the very beginning. So it's all about what's the most efficient way, can we call the most number of people in the least amount of time, and also what's the quickest and fastest way we can actually get to these people as soon as they register, because that is the fastest path to cash.
And then I think the other thing that we kind of run across is people weighing this: should I have somebody in-house versus should I hire Rokrbox? And I definitely understand that a lot of people get into real estate because they are entrepreneurial, they are rugged individualists, they kind of want to see and have control over all of these pieces of their business. But when it comes to outsourcing the services that we provide to somebody like Rokrbox, is like we have literally made all the mistakes already. We've already, fallen face down in the dirt and picked ourselves back up and dusted ourselves off. And Josh, basically spent a year and a half in research and development and figuring out exactly what our solution looks like, and then the next year and a half kind of scaling it. And so we figured out how to hire the right people, the systems to have those people operate at a high level, and then managing them on a day-to-day basis and inspecting what we expect. So that's a huge burden that we actually take off of our clients when it comes to these online leads, and they can stay focused on working with their agents rather than trying to, struggle managing agents and then add in trying to manage an ISA whose role they may not entirely understand. That's really, I think, the big thing that we contend with is folks wanting to do it themselves and realizing that actually sort of relinquishing control creates more freedom in their lives.
Yep, I have 100% second that, Sam. Everything you just said, and I've had probably 5 or 6 internal sales agents. I've worked with agents across the country as a consultant that have internal sales agents. There are no internal sales agents in the industry that I have found that are like the team leader that's trying to hire an internal sales agent. And I think the team leader thinks they're going to find themselves. Well, unfortunately, the way the world works is if they're as good as you, they want to be you, and they might be your internal sales agent for 6 months and learn everything you do, and then ask to be an agent on your team or become their own team leader and do it on their own. They start seeing all the commissions that you're earning, and they want to do what you're doing, and you don't blame them for that. And a lot of people say, well, that's great, I'll just find another person. Well, how much time are you spending now coaching, training, recruiting, retraining, coaching, recruiting, and you're in that circle. And then you look behind Josh, I know you guys have a handful. I mean, I don't know how many people you have right now. How many do you have, Josh, working for Rokrbox?
We've got about 20 people on our team.
So, oh my gosh, tomorrow one of them, something happens and they can't work anymore. You're not going to scramble for 3 months trying to replace them. You don't even have a dedicated person, right? They have a handful of people all the time around the clock, 80 hours a week, calling on their leads, which is incredible. I think it's awesome you guys do that.
Yep. Yeah, as you can imagine, none of these kids get sick. They never want to go on vacation.
Right. Yeah. Not at all. Their cars don't break down.
Nothing.
Nothing like that.
None of that ever happens here.
Thank God you don't have any of those headaches. All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll wrap up here shortly. Jeff, was there any final questions that you had?
I think there's a lot of people out there generating a lot of leads, and I'm actually not going to ask the question. I'm going to answer one of your previous ones, which is what's the misconception when someone hires someone like Rokrbox? I think people that don't manage the leads that are coming in think that there's all these hugely, large gold nuggets that they're missing out on. If only their agents would work those leads. Agents are so lazy. They're not missing out on a ton of opportunities, I don't think, up front, because your only expectation should be to convert at 1.5 to 3%. But what we've seen in years past, about half of our leads came from the internet. Now it's about a third because our Sphere business is getting bigger. So that lead isn't just the one sale when they come in the first time. Think of all of those branches that are going to come off of that lead over the course of the next 10 or 15 years. That's the money that you're losing. If you want to feel sick at night, don't feel sick that you're not converting the leads up front. Just think about all the money you've lost that could have come 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Great perspective, Jeff.
Very cool. All right, guys. Well, Josh, why don't I give you the final word? Just let us know how to take a step towards you guys and learn more about you guys and why should they do that, and who is your ideal client that is the best suited for you guys.
Absolutely. So again, here at Rokrbox, we are the only Boomtown approved partner for actually working the leads within your system to identify opportunities on your behalf. Our ideal client is really anybody on the Boomtown platform, but especially teams that aren't necessarily of the size of Jeff Cohn's team here, who he literally has 30 different agents that they all have one day on Boomtown. So if you can't implement a system like that, if you're working anywhere between 3 to 15 agents, we're a perfect solution because, again, we're open 80 hours a week. We're going to get that lead response time within the first 5 minutes. And obviously, if you're interested in learning more about our system and how we could possibly help you out, we are expanding, we are growing. We just moved into a new facility actually just a month ago. So we've got a lot more call center space here. We're hiring a bunch of more students as well. We focus on hiring college students from right across the street here at Texas A&M. And so the good news is we've got more room for people. The bad news is we don't necessarily work with everybody. So there is an application process. If you want to reach out to myself, Josh at Rokrbox.com, or Sam at Rokrbox.com, we'd be happy to send an application your way and kind of walk you through a demonstration. So, Sam, what's your phone number? I don't know what it is. It's just Sam and my phone.
Yeah. So, and as you guys can see behind me, Rokrbox is spelled Rokrbox. So just so you spell it right when you're emailing us. But you can also call me, text me, carrier pigeon, however you want to get in touch with me. Phone number is 512-426-7914. And again, just to reiterate what Josh said, kind of looping back to what I said earlier in the conversation, it takes Boomtown, it takes Rokrbox, and it takes the agents. So, the ideal client for us is somebody that wants to really convert their leads at the highest level, but also hold their agents accountable to the things that we know are going to help them take their business to the next level, and we provide a lot of support during that process. So, when all three things are cranking in the right direction, you can make a lot of money.
Awesome.
Cool, guys.
Matt, also one more thing. I'm obviously on Boomtown. I love Boomtown. They do a great job, and you guys are working with Boomtown. You said as their exclusive, one of their only exclusive partner in this arena. And I just want to let everybody know in the audience, if you want to go out and demo, we have a link we'll share in this podcast to take you out to demo the Boomtown product. I am an open book. If you guys have questions about anything surrounding Boomtown, reach out to Jeff at EliteRealEstateSystems.com or go find us on Facebook. Would love to help you there. And then the last thing is I want to speak to Sam and Josh's integrity. I've known Sam for almost 5 or 6 years. I've known Josh for about a year now. They're both stand-up individuals that work their butts off, and they run a really tight ship and a great business. I can't imagine if you go into business with them that your business isn't going to grow and flourish. So hats off to you guys. You're doing a great job over there.
Thanks, man.
Cool. Thanks so much, Jeff. We really appreciate it. Definitely.
All right, guys.
Always appreciate working with you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was fun, guys. I appreciate you joining us, and like Jeff said, so there's a link at the bottom of the website that goes directly to Boomtown through our link, which will track back to Jeff and let people know that you went there. So you can always get that at EliteRealEstateSystems.com. It's down towards the bottom of the homepage. If you're interested in the workshop that Sam briefly gave a plug for, which we appreciate, we actually just hung out at that workshop here just, I don't know, a month ago or something like that. So if you're interested in doing that and coming to Omaha for the full workshop, the same thing that Sam went through, go to the workshop page of the website, and then if you are interested in bringing something like that to your city, your brokerage, whatever, we're also open to that. Best way to do that is just to contact me or Jeff at EliteRealEstateSystems.com, or you can contact me, Matt, at PursuingResults.com. We can hook you up with that as well. So with all that said, gentlemen, we will adjourn this one.
Cool.
I know
Thanks, Matt.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to everybody on the next podcast.
Cool.
Thanks.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, Jeff.